we're about to dive into a story from the heart of Mumbai's film industry, but this one is way more terrifying than any movie. This is the true story of a young artist named Arti, whose late-night shift in Film City turned into an absolute nightmare. A nightmare that literally followed her home.
This right here, this was the warning Artie's grandmother gave her. You know, it's that old-school advice that a modern young woman would just brush off as a silly superstition. But this warning, it would come back to haunt her in the most chilling way possible.
Okay, so let's set the stage. First, let's meet Artie, the person at the center of this story, and get to that crucial piece of advice she decided to completely ignore.
So, who is Artie? Well, she's only 20 years old and she's already the main provider for her mom and her grandma. She's working hard as a junior artist and she's really started to enjoy the glamour of it all, the lifestyle. And two things she loved, wearing strong, beautiful perfumes and keeping her long hair open. Seems pretty harmless, right? But remember those two details. They are key.
This is exactly what her 80-year-old grandmother kept warning her about. She'd say that strong smells and unbound hair, especially late at night in a lonely place like Film City, well, they're basically like an open invitation. An invitation for unseen forces, for negative energies, to notice you. Artie would just laugh it off. She never really took it seriously at all.
All right, now let's get to the night it all went down. And the setting is so important here. It was an Amavasya, a new moon night. In many traditions, this is considered a time when the world is pitch black, and the veil between our reality and, well, whatever lies beyond is at its absolute thinnest.
You also have to understand what Film City is actually like. It's not some polished Hollywood backlot. It's a huge, sprawling area that's pretty much a jungle in the middle of a city. We're talking leopard sightings, real stories of crime, and plenty of its own urban legends, like the classic ghost of a woman in a white sari. And maybe the worst part? The cell service is terrible. It is a genuinely scary place to be stranded alone at night.
So here's how quickly her night completely fell apart. Her shoot ends at 1:30 in the morning. By 2 a.m., she's cleaned off her makeup and is ready to head home. And that's when it hits her. Everyone else is gone. The production crew didn't arrange a ride for her. She was totally, completely alone.
And this is a really harsh reality in the film business, especially when you're a junior artist. The big stars get everything taken care of, but for someone like Artie, as soon as they yell cut, you're on your own. A 20-year-old girl literally told to just walk down the road in a jungle at 2 a.m. to try and find a phone signal.
Just think about how vulnerable she is in this moment. No ride, no way to call anyone, and nobody from her job willing to help. Her only option is to start walking down that dark, empty road all by herself.
And it's on this walk, in the middle of nowhere, that things go from just bad to truly, deeply terrifying. This is where the horror really begins.
So as she's walking, a really nice high-end white car just pulls up next to her. The strange thing is, she never heard it coming. It was just there. Inside, there's a man, very handsome, almost like an actor himself, wearing a white shirt. And he doesn't speed up or slow down. He just drives at her exact walking speed, right beside her, in total silence. You know that feeling when your gut just screams that something is wrong? That's what this was. Then his behavior gets even weirder. He asks her for directions, showing her an address written on his hand in ink. She says she has no idea where that is. Then, get this, right in front of her, he just wipes the ink clean off his hand and writes a brand new address with something that looks like a piece of charcoal. That's it for her. She's terrified, gives him some fake directions, and just starts running. But a few seconds later, that silent white car is right behind her again, and now he's offering her a ride.
Thankfully, right at her moment of peak panic, an incredible bit of luck happens. An auto rickshaw with another actor in the back sees her running. The guy, seeing the pure terror on her face, yells out and tells her to jump in. Artie doesn't hesitate. She leaps in, and they speed away, finally leaving the silent white car behind.
Now you'd think that's the end of the story. A terrifyingly close call with a very creepy stalker. But you'd be wrong. The horror was just getting started, because it had followed her home.
And this is where the story just breaks away from any rational explanation. The first night she's home, she wakes up, looks out her window, and sees him, standing on the street way down below. A few nights later, he's closer. He's standing right at the main gate of her building. And then, on the fifth night, she wakes up again, looks out her window, and sees him floating. Literally floating.
right outside her first-floor window just staring in at her. I mean, that's the breaking point. She lets out this absolutely blood-curdling scream and just passes out cold. Her mom and grandma come rushing in, and once they revive her, she finally tells them everything. The chase in Film City, and the man who's been showing up outside her window every night, getting closer and closer.
So this raises the huge question, what was actually happening? Her family, trying to be logical, figured it had to be a human stalker, no matter how impossible it seemed. They decided they needed to find some proof.
So they went to find proof, and what they found was a terrifying contradiction. Artie's mom and the building manager went through all the security footage from that night. The result? Nothing, absolutely nothing. The cameras covering the gate, the area under her window, all completely empty. There was no man, nobody was there.
And in that moment, her grandmother understood everything. She looked at Artie and gave her a chilling diagnosis that brought the whole story full circle. This wasn't a man. It was what's known as a pashak or a jinn, a malevolent spirit. She explained that the perfume, the open hair, the new moon, it all acted like a beacon. The entity was drawn to her, and now it had followed her home.
So what on earth do you do when faced with something so undeniably supernatural? Well, for Artie's family, the response was immediate and serious.
They took this threat as seriously as a heart attack. First thing, they got help from a spiritual healer. Night shifts were completely banned. No more, ever. Her grandma even threatened to cut off Artie's long hair if she didn't listen. And as for Artie herself, she never wore perfume again, not for the rest of her life. The experience completely changed her.
And so Artie's story leaves us with this one big, lingering question. It kind of makes you rethink all those old warnings we hear and so easily dismiss as just superstition, right? Maybe they're not all just old stories. Maybe some of them are born from very real and very terrifying, forgotten truths.